one of the all-time great coaches in the history of the National Football League is Tom Flores, kind enough to call into the Rich Eisen Show on a very busy day for him, and obviously a big day for this rivalry. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing pretty good. Just kind of sitting here in my room looking out the window at a beautiful sunny day, although it's pretty cold outside.
It is that. What did this rivalry mean to Al Davis, Coach?
Well, this was it was a division rivalry against original AFL teams, and those of us that lived through the AFL years remember those great rivalries, and the Chiefs were early winners. The Raiders weren't, and then the Raiders became winners, and the Chiefs weren't, and then there for a while there it seemed like we were facing each other every year at a critical time, but that's been a long, long time since we faced each other, in these circumstances, which are pretty unique.
Now, but did you hear from Al a little bit more in a week like this than normal?
No more than normal. Sometimes, it depends on how we were doing, really. If we were doing good without his input, then he kind of left us alone. He was very superstitious in that respect.
That's right. Tom Flores joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. How much does this team remind you of the great Raider teams at all?
Kind of getting there. It's kind of getting there with big play guys, winning games in the fourth quarter. The will to win, being in the playoffs. It's been a while. It's going to be interesting to see how this team reacts. If we do make the playoffs, we're headed in that direction because it's still a pretty young team, but there's a lot of similarities. But my teams were, my 80 team, Super Bowl team was a veteran team. The 83 wasn't. It was just a great team. Marcus was on that team.
Yeah, and I want to talk with you about Marcus in a second and what he said also about you specifically. But let's pause and talk about the here and now. Derek Carr being an MVP candidate and folks talking about him off the field and what he means to this team and his leadership role. Can you take me behind the scenes of what you've seen out of Derek Carr and how he might be living up to that billing?
With Derek, you have a young guy that's only in his third year and showing all the maturity of a seasoned veteran, and has earned the right to be one of the top team leaders in such a short time. He and Khalil Mack, two guys in the third year, same draft, first round, second round, are the team leaders on both sides of the ball, and that's pretty unique for a team like this. But also, you have to realize this is a pretty young team. But he's showing all the qualities of a mature veteran quarterback. He doesn't let a negative play get him down or get the team down. He seems to be the real deal. He's kind of fun to be around. He's fun to watch, really.
How so?
Well, because I like to watch players when they're not in the game or when the play's not going on, just to see how their body action is. And his body action, all the signs are positive. I mean, he's so over talking to this guy, he's talking to that guy. He never goes and sits and sulks. He makes a mistake. He throws an interception. He comes out. It's my fault. It's not the end of the world. Let's go. And the players have bought into his leadership, and they respond. I'll give you a great example. When he dislocated his little pinky finger a couple of games ago, all the air came on that team for a quarter, for a moment until he came back on the field. That's how much of a leader he is.
Well, but Khalil Mack also stepped into the void. We had a huge pick six in that game before the first half, and then wrapped things up with a sack force fumble on Cam Newton. How does he compare to some of the all-time greats that you've seen, Tom?
Well, I think he's right up there. We haven't had a defensive player like that in a long time that makes a difference in games. I mean, he makes a difference in games in the fourth quarter, his strip sack, and at the end of the game, back-to-back games, interception for a touchdown, and sack here, sack there. I mean, he literally can take over a game on the defensive side of the ball. And like I said, we haven't had a guy like that. I think the last guy that I can remember that played for me was probably Ted Hendricks.
Wow, Stork. You went Stork on me right there.
Yeah, well, he was a game changer, and Ted was. I mean, he was, because he would block a punt, he'd make a sack, he'd cause an interception. I mean, he was always disruptive.
Tom Flores here on the Rich Eisen Show.
On and off the field.
Well, as you know, he's got a special place. He's got a special place in one of the most special places on planet Earth, and that's the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton. Yep. And last hour, Coach, I asked Marcus Allen why you're not in there, and this was his response.
I get so disappointed by the criteria. He should have been at least on two levels. One as a coach with 2 Super Bowl wins, and then even as a contributor. When you think about the first Mexican-American to play quarterback, one of the first, and then the first head coach, then the first general manager, and then first president, I mean, those are groundbreaking accomplishments. And I don't understand why. It's getting more and more frustration to see people, I think, especially if you either coached in the past or played in the past, get overlooked for, a little more hype today. Who hasn't won 2 Super Bowls and not in the Hall of Fame?
What do you think of when you hear that, Coach?
Well, it makes me feel good. Marcus is one of my favorite players of all time, and I drafted him as a young 20, 21-year-old guy, and he delivered. He was truly great from day one, and a leader from day one. And a special person. So that makes me feel good.
Well, what do you hear when that subject comes up, though, about you not being in a spot where personally I think you deserve to be, Coach?
Well, it's frustrating. I have to admit that it's disappointing not to be in there with some of my peers, some of the guys I coached and played with, and it's. But I can't. I'm not in control. That's out of my control, and I try to control my emotional part, and my friends do too, and my family. So maybe someday, soon, it will happen. I thought this year I had a chance, but nope, I didn't. There are other coaches in there that I guess somebody feels should be ahead.
Well, maybe it gets rectified in completion, and you and Plunkett get to go in together one day. How would that be?
That would be great. That would be wonderful. It's Jim is well deserved. There's other players that I won't mention at this time, but should be recognized, and they are recognized. But you're getting nominated, and then making that final 15 is a different story.
And Bill King, the longtime radio voice of the Raiders, being inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. What's your best memory of him, Coach?
Oh, Bill was great. He was just his voice and his little idiosyncrasies, his little holy Toledos, that they were just magical. He was when you listen to him describing some of the plays, it gives you goosebumps.
Mm-hmm. As tonight would be one of those games. And when it all comes down to it, I've been asking this of Marcus, and he said he didn't know what did happen between him and Al Davis. I mean, I assume you're right in the middle of it. What did happen for one of the guys at the nexus of this rivalry?
I don't know. Al was a little different in some cases. He was he wasn't foolish. I mean, he knew that Marcus was a great player, and he was right there when he was in court when Ron Wolf and I drafted him, and he was for the draft. I mean, so he wasn't foolish in that respect, but I don't know. There's somewhere along the line, but he was also very strict about certain things, and somewhere along the line, maybe Marcus held out too many times. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I never got involved. He wouldn't talk to me about it. Al would. He said, "No, I know. It's your guy." And then,
that's it. That's what he...
But see, the thing is, we never had that situation while I was there. I guess it developed, it came to a point or whatever after I left. That's when Marcus was really, allowed to go to Kansas City.
So, what do you think happens tonight when these two teams play each other, Tom?
Oh, I think it'll be a great game. It's going to be colder than hell, but I think it's going to be a great game. That place will be electric today. It always is. it's going to be it's rightfully so a throwback here because it's the way it used to be, and that's the way it should be. 75,000 people in red screaming with a few dots of silver and black in between, and late in the season, and one of us is going to be in a great position. Well, we're both in a pretty good position right now to make the playoffs.
Yeah, well, one would be in a better position to maybe have a better position to make in the Super Bowl, if that makes any sense. Hey, Coach, thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it, and have a great cast tonight. Enjoy the scene.
All right, you guys be good.
You got it. That's Tom Flores.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.